Hi, Mr. Singh. Good to see you. Thank you so much for making the time.
My pleasure.
In the comments you made today, you called the Liberals and the government more specifically weak and selfish.
They are too weak and too selfish.
They've let Canadians down.
Justin Trudeau has let Canadians down.
They've abandoned Canadians, and that they have led to endless disappointment.
Endless disappointment.
Can you ever support them going forward after saying that?
Well, we've torn up the agreement with Justin Trudeau. I've torn that up. And I know that that means election is more likely than before. And it was really clear to me, there's mounting evidence that Justin Trudeau and the Liberals were just too weak to take on corporate greed. They were too beholden to corporate interests to stop big corporate grocery stores and corporate landlords from ripping people off.
But ripping up the agreement is just ending the formality of it. You explicitly said, for example, in that video, that you will continue to consider whether or not to support the government on matters of confidence on a case-by-case basis. Again, I'll put the question to you. You have told Canadians they are weak, they are selfish, that they have abandoned the very people who put them in office. You just described a host of reasons why you don't want to be a part of any formal agreement. How can you reconcile for Canadians watching now that you're still willing to vote with them and keep them in power on a case-by-case basis?
Well, I don't know what the votes are going to be.
I have to also ask you, Mr. Singh, why now? And in particular, you know, I've done so many interviews with you, I'm sure you're sick of them, where I ask you the question, like, this is the way in which you're describing the government. Why are you still keeping them in power? I don't understand what changed, saliently over the last number of days or weeks that led you to make this decision now versus, let's say, 6 months ago. You point to corporate greed, for example, particularly in the grocery sector. Food prices were at their highest over a year ago, and the government wasn't doing much even then. Why didn't that force you to make this decision? Is this more about really polling and your electoral chances, and some would accuse in the Conservatives your pension?
Not at all. First of all, let's put that to rest. That's a lie being propagated by Pierre Poilievre, who's, I think, got his full pension when he was like 31. So I don't know. He wants to cut people's pensions. Speaking of pensions, he wants to cut seniors' pensions. I mean, that's what we should be talking about, the fact that we want to defend and strengthen people's pensions, and he wants to cut them. I think people should know about that. And the next election, again, is going to be a choice. People want change. They're going to replace Justin Trudeau. Do they choose Pierre Poilievre, the Conservatives, who want to let big corporations rip off people even more? They're going to put fire on the fuel of corporate greed. Or New Democrats, who are saying, let's make people the priority. Let's protect people from the corporate greed of these large, powerful interests, and let's make sure people get lower rents and lower grocery prices.
But again, with great respect, all of the stuff that you lay out, we have been talking about, you and I, you and other politicians. There has been accountability directed at the government and questions about why they aren't doing more on those issues that you talk about affordability, about grocery prices, about corporate interests for over a year. Like, it was particularly difficult for Canadians. I mean, inflation has edged down, but prices are up 20% over the last 3 years, and they were super high
Absolutely.
A year ago. My question isn't hypothetical. You are raising the idea that the CN rail dispute and their handling of it really was it a turning point? Like, again, I'm not clear why this wasn't a decision you didn't make earlier, unless now you see that your personal interest is better served and you didn't before.
We got work done. We got things done, things completed. We wanted to make sure dental care was completed. To at least the second phase include seniors, and a lot of that program was done over the summer. So that completed
but it's not totally
a significant
done,
part of
and
our
neither
agreement.
is pharmacare. It's
so
still before the
that was
Senate.
really important. This summer, actually, we got the portal. We got some major changes. So we got a lot of work done.
I guess I would just point out that both pharmacare and dental care are not completed. The argument you're making to Canadians is essentially you stayed in it as long as you did to get things done. So if those things aren't done, why aren't you continuing to stay in it unless there's some kind of political interest in it for you to move to a different position, which is what the Liberals essentially are accusing you of. They say blatantly, Karina Gold on this
Dental
program
care is
last
done
night,
in
you
terms
put
of
your own interests ahead of Canadians.